Alright, welcome to something new I want to try. It's Flesh and Blood Deck Tech. This is my favorite card game, and I got the Surgical Extraction mat, but this is just going to be me show off my deck list for the new Uzuri, the Assassin. So she is the hero of the deck. I have both her young and old in here. I can put the old away for now. But because it's a Blitz deck, I don't really technically need the old one, but for the art, because just like, look at that. Well, is health, and people at my store don't really mind if I use old Uzuri instead of young Uzuri, as long as I play with 20 health. But her build, she's a young assassin hero with 4 intellect and 20 health, so it's just the standard. And she says once per turn attack reaction. Banish a card from your hand face down. Turn the card banished this way face up. If it's an attack action with cost 2 or less, put target attacking card with stealth from the active chain link on the bottom of its owner's deck, then put the banished card onto the active chain link as the attacking card. So she just lets you, if you have an attack with stealth on the chain link as your current attack, she just switches it out for any other attack that costs 2 or less that you just want to throw at your opponents. So it's like, so that's the entire theme of the deck. I just take my cards and swap them. We do have, just put this over here for now. We do make some tokens. So we got our cold foil inertia, which is at the beginning of your end phase, destroy inertia, then put all cards from your hand and arsenal on the bottom of your deck, just to, because we have a chance we'll make every kind of token from the new set. And its flip side is the cold foil ponder, which is at the beginning of your end phase, destroy ponder and draw a card. So I think ponder's the only one we don't make really, but like it's on the opposite side of the inertia. And then we have the ones that we use far more, being frailty, which is your attack action cards played from arsenal and your weapon attacks have -1 power. At the beginning of your end phase, destroy frailty. So this is just, the inertia is really good in someone like a ranger. This is just, we throw this on like a ninja or some other. I guess this can also be thrown into rangers because all their attacks from arsenal, it just kind of slows them down a bit, but like it stops the Kadachis and like another assassin's daggers. But my favorite, the Blood Rot Pox token, which is just at the beginning of your end phase, destroy Blood Rot Pox, then it deals 2 damage to you unless you pay 3 resources. And this just, we just kind of give any of these to our opponents depending on what they are and what's best in the situation. And so like if they're low health, we'll give them Blood Rot Pox, or if they're like Phi and they're like very heavily red and it's hard for them to pay through, we'll give them Blood Rot Pox. But like early game against like a ninja, we'll give them frailty, and it just makes it so they can't really attack as much. So next we're gonna move on to the equipment. Which we got so for weapons we're an assassin here, so we're using mainly just 2 Spider's Bites. We have the mirrored ones from Dynasty, and Spider's Bite is for a once per turn for 2 resources. It's an attack with, you attack and it has to go again. It swings for 1. It is piercing 1, so it's, once blocked by armor, gains by an equipment, it gets +1. And when this hits a hero, the next time they defend with 1 or more attack action cards this turn, those cards have -1 while defending. And we normally just have 1 of those in each hand, unless we're up against a matchup where we'd rather have the other weapon choice we have, which is a single copy of Scale Peeler from Outsiders, which is another for 2 once per turn attack with go again, cost 2 resources, piercing 1 again, and 1 damage. But this one says when this hits a hero, the next time they defend with 1 or more equipment this turn, those equipment have -1 while defending. So this is good against like the bulkier old hymns, and like if they're just trying to defend a lot, or like Dorinthia, I would run this into if they're just gonna use if they have a lot of armor. So like a warrior like Dorinthia or like old hymn or like other guardians that just want to take hits. So our other option for our hands is we have the Ornate Tessin from Dynasty, which is instant speed for one resource. Destroy Ornate Tessin, put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck, and then draw a card. It's very simple. It's very just generic, and it just lets you cycle one card away. And if you pitch a blue for it, you could then go in with like the dagger in your other hand. So if we did like Tessin Spider's Bite, we could Tessin to fix our hand and Spider's Bite if we pitched a blue. But the weapons aren't really the most important part of the deck because we're mainly gonna try and win with Uzuri's once per turn attack reaction, just to combat trick in different things. But we still have the rest of our equipments. So we have I just have a bunch of different equipment for the deck set aside because super casual store. We just kind of play for fun even during the events like. So we have. I'm gonna go over this first because it's the simplest. Crown of Dominion from Dynasty. I have the cold foil one because I actually pulled this from my Dynasty box, and it was a long time ago, but I streamed it on Twitch. The same name as this channel. But all it does is make your hero royal, and you start the game with a gold token, which is you can pay 2 resources to draw a card. These are the other helmets. Next one we have is a cold foil Ragamuffins hat, my favorite equipment in the whole game. It's really only good for Kano the Wizard though, but it is destroy Ragamuffins hat, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. Activate this ability only if you have 1 card in hand. So it's just when you're down to 1 card, you can instant speed draw something, and if it and then you just manipulate what's on top of your deck. It's really good in Kano because you can just use his ability during it, and it allows you to choose what's on top. But I like it. It's a top hat. I have it in cold foil. I have a non-cold foil, I think, with one of my other decks. Just because I feel like showing off. The next equipment we have for the head is the cold foil Mask of Shifting Perspective, which I opened this in my first pack during the Dynasty pre-release. That's also where I got my scale peeler from. And it is a ninja assassin equipment. The other 2 were generic, and the daggers were all just assassin weapons. With Blade Break and Defense 1, so when you defend with it, it just goes away. But as attack reaction, destroy it, and whenever a dagger you control hits this turn, you can put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. If you do, you draw a card. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's an option. It's mainly here for like a defensive 1 point. It's helpful, but it's not like the best option. Like obviously I own Mask of Perdition, I think it is, the one from Dynasty, but which is better, but I just like it for the aesthetic. And then there is the helmet that I'll just kind of default to, which is a rainbow foil. Now being Mask of Malicious Manifestations, it is the Ranger Assassin version of the Shifting Perspective. It has the Blade Break with the defensive 1, but it has action for 1 resource. Put a card from your hand or arsenal on the bottom of your deck. Destroy Mask of Malicious Manifestations. Reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal an attack action card. Put it into your hand, then shuffle, and that has go again. So you just kind of, if your hand isn't quite what you want it to be, and you have like a blue, you could use this and go in with a dagger and try and get and it allows us to just once again try and get some kind of combat trick to use with Uzuri's ability. Then we have like I'm just gonna go over the next 2 simplest things. We have just Iron Rot leggings. It's all I really had that fits in the deck. Like I could have gone with the Snapdragons, but I don't really want the go again because the way I built the deck is I just want to do the one turn where I maybe dagger and then Uzuri. And this is just basically like having one more health with the one defense blade break. So it just keeps us alive for the longer game. The same can be said about how we just run Iron Rot Plate, which is the exact same thing for our chest. It's just blade break one and gives us one more health basically. Uh, then we got Rainbow Foil Bladed Cuff, also from the pre-release I went to. It's Blade Break 1 again, it's just more defensive, but we can destroy Blade and Cuff by paying 2 resources, and our daggers get +1 this turn, and that has go again, and that's on an action. So we just kind of, for 6, we could make our daggers swing for 2 and then go in with both daggers if we wanted. And following that, we have that's an Assassin Ninja equipment. We have the Assassin Ranger version with Toxic Tips. Once again, the blade break on 1, so worst case scenario, it's just 1 more health. It has action 1 resource, destroy Toxic Tips. Next attack action you play this turn gains when this hits a hero, create a Frailty, Inertia, or Blood Rot token under their control, and that has go again. So we just kind of, it's a way to give them something that, like, if we feel like we're going to hit with it, we can just throw out a Blood Rot at a red deck, Frailty at something like Katsu, or Inertia at like the Ranger. It's like Riptide's what we're up against. And then for our other 2 arms choices, we have Fistcuffs. I love this card. It is Rainbow Foil. It's an attack reaction for 2 resources. Destroy it. Target attack gets +1. It lets the attack hit after they've like you block up. It gives me that 1 more damage that I needed, and it's just like my go-to for the matchups. Like I'll either generically, if I'm going into a matchup, I'll use one of these 2. Like it depends on who I'm up against. But like this is if you're gonna start blocking a lot because you figured it out, I can just always pop this after defenses and then crank up the damage of something. And finally we pulled this from the box. Time recording it was last night. The legendary from Outsiders, Remembrance of Determination, which is a legendary generic equipment arms, once per turn attack reaction for 1 red. For 1 resource, so pitching a redder. The next prevention effect that prevents damage this turn prevents 1 less of that damage. If we're up against like a Dromai, I just use this to because there are like 3 Dromai players at the store I go to. Dromai is very popular where I play, and I feel like that Dromai and Illusionist in general, I feel like that influences why stuff like Guardian and like the big smashy characters are kind of popular as well, because it's like, yeah, we got 2 consistent, like, they only play Dromai players, which is fine, but it's like, if you're going to keep preventing the damage, I'm going to use these against you. It has when this defends, you may pay 1. If you do, it gets +1 defense and blade break, so it will be destroyed, but it's just that pay 1, it gets an extra level of defense, and it's like, yeah, I could block with my hand, but it can get in the way of like a dominate or something like that if I choose to run in a matchup where someone's going to throw dominate at me. I actually want to show that card last. So next we're going to go with the just the way we get Uzuri, because Uzuri needs you to swing with something that has stealth for you to switch it out. So we just have, in the main deck, we have a decent chunk of cards with stealth. So we're running 2 copies of every color isolate. Two copies. I forgot to put one of the blues down. And isolate is our best stealth card in the build because the red is it costs 0, has stealth, dominate, attack of 3, block of 3. And isolate is just The dominate makes it so you have to use your equipment, and I can just really easily get my on hits from my combat tricks off. Like if I combat trick this to the bottom of my deck and throw out a big attack, it just boom, you only blocked with one card, but now it's an attack for 6, and if it has an on hit, and so it's like the yellow attacks for 2, the blue attacks for 1, but it's an attack that's harder to block, and you might get overconfident thinking, oh yeah, the 1 dominate, it's a meme, but then I just switch it out for 6, or you might just go, I'll take the 1 dominate because it's not even worth trying to block. Uh, Following that, we have 6 Magellans, every one we can run. It's 0, stealth, block 3, red attacks for 3, yellow attacks for 2, blue attacks for 1, and its damage can't be prevented. So it's like, yeah, you might try and block this, but like, because it doesn't give that effect to the thing we switch in, which is very good to note. It just gives it to itself. So it's like, we swing this, and we already have like a little bit of anti-defense prevention. And the best part is Uzuri is a reaction that we have to choose to use. So even if you do like, if you go to block like over block it like you would against a Dorinthia, I don't have to use Uzuri and I just keep the thing in my hand. Or I can bluff it and you won't know. Followed by 6 infects. And infect is who would against a 0 cost attack with stealth. Uh, Red is 3, yellow is 2, blue is 1, 3 defense. But when infect hits a hero, they create the blood rot pox under their control. So it's really big for like a Fi has to block this, or someone who can't easily pay the 3 really has to go and block the infect, and just ripping that card out of their hand is pretty good because it's one less thing they can throw at us. And finally, we're running 2 red backstabs, which is it is a red, so it's for 1, 3 attack, 3 defense. On defense reactions can't be played to backstab's chain link, and it has stealth. So we just kind of every turn we just want to be throwing out like one of these and then try and switch it out with Uzuri's ability to switch out our stealth cards. Which brings me to that card special, so we're saving it for last. What we're switching into, which is my personal favorite, since I only run 5 because I don't have 2 of the blue one, but Humble. This card is a game-breaking card. You can win a game off a good Humble turn. It is a 2 cost, but we're never going to pay its cost because we don't need to. A 6 attack on the red, 5 on the yellow, 4 on the blue, block 2. But its key is when this hits a hero, they lose all abilities until the end of their next turn. And we run this at so many copies because it's just so good if we're against losing your abilities for a turn cripples so many characters. Dorinthia can only swing once with their sword. Oldhim can't use their ability to try and stall you. The new Riptide can't do anything. The other Uzuri loses their ability to swap out cards if you're in the Uzuri mirror. Arachne can only throw out 1 attack instead of their first attack gains stealth on the solitary confinement. It's so good to just like so many heroes. Fi is slowed down immensely without being able to tutor out, like get back the Phoenix Flame from the graveyard. Katsu can't tutor. Bravo can't give Dominate anymore. Levia. Levia just dies to this card because you humble a Levia. The Levia can no longer stop their blood debt, and they have to take a turn of blood debt if you hit them with this. Uh, Next we got 6, because it's when I had 6 of cut down size, which is also absurd. It's another 2 drop, 2 defense, 6 attack, 5 attack on the yellow, 4 attack on the blue. That we want that we're never going to pay for because we just switch into it. And when this one hits, if your opponent has 4 more cards in hand, they have to discard one. So if they don't try and block up, they're taking the damage. And on top of that, they have one less card to throw back at you. So if they're like, yeah, I can take whatever they can throw at me out with like, because one less card is detrimental to big goat wide decks like Fi and like even Bravo. You can somewhat like just get like a Bravo on they no longer have the extra card to pitch, and it's just you take the rip whatever they have out of their hand. Then we have 2 reds and 1 yellow Death Touch. I pulled the foil yellow Death Touch in the pre-release. I won a game off switching in a Death Touch. I played Uzuri the whole night. I went 3-1. The only game I lost was the guy who won the whole thing in the 3rd round because he played Riptide and just blocked up every round, stalled me until I was out of cards because he played like every card possible he could. But so Death Touch is for 1, but we're never gonna pay its 1. Attack for 6 or 5 for the yellow one. Block 2. Death Touch can't be played from the hand, but once again, we're just gonna combat trick it in with Azuri's once per turn because that gets around that. And when Death Touch hits, we create a Frailty, Inertia, or Blood Rot under the opponent's control. So we can just, once again, Katsu or a Riptide or Azalea or like Fi, we're just gonna hit them with whichever one's worse for them at the time. And then we also have a piece that we're running at 4 copies for. This is like if you do block up, I'm still going to use my ability one of the uh, Virulent Touch, which is a 0 drop. The reds block for 4, and we got 2 reds, 2 yellow. I mean, the reds attack for 4, and the yellows attack for 3. It can't be played from hand like Death Touch, because it's another Assassin Ranger thing like Death Touch is. Can't play it from hand. They all block 2. But when this chain link resolves, if it is defended by a card from hand, I create a Blood Rot Pox token under your control. Which is just like, yeah, you block up fully, I switch into this and you get a Blood Rot Pox. Or you block, even normally I could get an extra chip through, but either way, if you block at all, you're gonna get a Blood Rot Pox if I have this. So I can just wait, because and if I have like, I had a moment at pre-release where I had the red humble and this, and it was literally just, I'm gonna swing with the stealth thing. If you don't block it, you're getting humbled. If you do, you're getting a blood rot. There's no winning this for you. And then, just because we can, we have the final assassin card being the Eradicate, which is for 1. This is a Dynasty Assassin contract. Whenever you banish a yellow cards. Whenever you complete this contract, create a silver token, and it blocks 3, costs 1, but we're not going to pay the 1 because we're just going to combat trick this in. Attacks for 4. So when this hits the hero, you banish the top X cards of their deck, where X is the damage dealt by Eradicate. And this just, if the match is going to go long, this is just going to speed us up, because like, we're more likely to survive the long fight because we're constantly taking the cards with stealth and putting them back on the bottom when we combat trick them. So like, we combat trick in the Eradicate. If you don't block like the 2, then you banish 4 cards and make it some silvers, which are pay 3 to draw a card. Because I don't have the equipment benefits off it. But for our final card, which we pulled during the box opening I did the night before recording this and building this exact deck, is the Fabled Plague Hive. This card is legendary, but it's an Assassin Ranger resource gem. When you pitch it, each opposing hero chooses Inertia, Frailty, or Blood Rot Pox at random and create that token under their control. So we If we have this in our hand, we'll just pitch it, going with the knife, and they will get one of the tokens and be being attacked by a knife, which is just like pitch it, spider's bite. It and spider's bite is like the end. Like if we're down to the last, like we've used all our attacks, we've used all our switches, we can just keep, because it doesn't block for anything, but we just pitch it, going with the knife. We can always go in with the knife with this, and then you're gonna get something. And so just in the long game, it helps me because I'm still going in for one if I'm like at fatigue. I'm just going in for one every turn, and then you're getting some kind of token that's not good for you. So I'm gonna shuffle this up real quick, and I'll show you how a general game would play with Uzuri. Just get a nice shuffle. Let's do the make sure everything's all incorporated. Assassin has just very quickly become like my favorite class. That's why I'm so happy that like they raffled off this playmat, the the surgical extraction one that I'm using right now. And I won it in this raffle, and it's like I won it before, because this was before Outsiders came out, this playmat. And it's just like now that I play a lot more Assassin with I have both Arachnes built up, kind of like the original Arachne's not great because I don't have it's just like his rares and commons, but the Arachne solitary confinement is decently good. It's just in a like I go in with stealth and I try and hit you with these cards because my first stealth attack is go again and I have attack reactions and it's another it's like Dorinthia a little bit without just like combat trick warrior. And we just like go in with stuff. So in like a generic game, if we're just like for a standard matchup, we'd just have like double spider's bites for our weapons, our mask, our helmet, and let's say we're just rocking fisticuffs. So now we're all shuffled. Let's just cut the deck for the heck of it. And we draw 4, so humble, isolate, eradicate, Magellan. Pretty just standard array. We got our leader who we can just combat trick with, and so we literally just we'd keep most of like we'd stall with our equipment for a little bit, but we'd probably just like pitch the eradicate to go with spider's bite. So we'd just like pitch the eradicate because it's too yellow for the spider's bite attack. And then once their blocks are messed up, we swing the 1 dominate from isolate at them, which we're just gonna switch out for if they don't like, which we can just switch out for humble, and that it cripples. So this against Dromai is insane because then they can't make ash tokens, and even if they already have the ash, they can't give their stuff go again by playing a red. So it just stops the Dromai player. And we just like arsenal that, and then like we're on the next 4. And we have the death touch we can swap into, and we have the stealth guaranteed from Arsenal. Let's do another quick shuffle. But overall, Uzuri's just like one of my favorite decks to play. Played her at the event, loved it, kept playing it, built this at like fully to this out of the box last night. It's just the combat trick the deck. So red humble, blue infect, red infect, red backstab. We'd like pitch blue infect, going with spider's bite, backstab, switching it in to be humble. You can't see that. backstab after spiders biting them. They'll block it. Or if it's like the matchup where we want to be using the uh, scale peeler, yeah. But then we'll just switch backstab into being humble, and we just hit them with humble. And like, if we humble a Dromai on turn one, there's not really all that much they can do about it. And they're defending against Uzuri on turn one is like, it is a level of knowing how to play against Uzuri for that. Just get like another quick shuffle down and do one more of those. Yellow Magellan, yellow Isolate, yellow Infect, and the Virtual Touch. So for this, we could honestly just like Isolate to swing the Spider's Bite, or the swing a dagger, and then blue Infect, which they're gonna want to block up against, because otherwise they'll get, if they don't, they're gonna get a Blood Rot Pox if they're just like, I'll take the one. But they block up against it, we switch into this, and we switch into the touch, and then it triggers itself, and we give them the Blood Rot Pox either way. So either way, they're just getting that Blood Rot Pox and something like a Phi or someone who has a hard time paying for that kind of effect. It's just any big. They have a lot of reds in their deck, or like just turning off your opponent's abilities with Humble, or giving them the right, giving them the wrong token for them at the wrong time. Like you give the frailty to the Katsu player, their Kodachis do nothing for that turn, and it's just like, or like Ayara, you can't Kodachi, and something else, and it's just, or like the Assassin Mirror still, you give them a frailty and their daggers turn off. Like it's just consistent, like humble, infect, Magellan. We can literally just like swing Magellan, go into humble for 6. And if they block 6, we'll just not switch it out for the humble and hold that back in hand and we're able to humble them next. I definitely do feel like it's hard to determine whether or not you want to go first in this deck, because it's very much depends on what you're up against and who you're up against. Like if the person is like an Uzuri player, they'll probably know what to expect. And this isn't even like the most built Uzuri I could have made. Like you could put Command and Conquer in this deck and just like, I'm pretty sure Command Conquer is a 2-drop and just, alright, I attack and now I switch into Command and Conquer. And now you're just getting hit with Command and Conquer, I'm destroying your arsenal. I just not a big fan of Command and Conquer's playstyle, so it's always just been more of like a kind of thing to me, but like, yeah, Command and Conquer costs 2, I just looked at it. And defense reactions can't be played to its chain link, so it's just, when you go in with it, it just, after they're blocked, they're taking that damage because they can no longer defense react. And if you have like a pump in your hand, like I know some Uzuri builds run, like I have definitely looked at blue pummel for this deck, especially that way I could like, let's just say my opening hand was like humble, isolate, some other yellow, and the blue pummel. I could go in with the isolate, swap it to be humble, and then pummel on top of it, and just basically guarantee my pummel hits. And it's just like, alright, now you lose 2 cards in your hand and your hero ability, and it's like, at that point, you might as well just arsenal back to me and pass, because, like, a lot of characters without hero abilities can't do much. You just kind of stop them so easily. But it's just like, it's all about the combat trick. Like, you lose your ability, it's kind of hard to play around. Like this is the only card that doesn't mainly run off the hero ability, and it's just like the repeated daggers and getting in their way. But yeah, that was my Uzuri Blitz deck. Uh, Let me know if you like this video or what other heroes you might want to see, because I have a lot of other decks. I basically have every ninja and assassin some kind of build form that I want to do a video for. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.